guys, we are going to learn some new math vocabulary. Now, to be honest with you, this might not be new to some of you. And as a matter of fact, if you've made it all the way to the 13-year-old class math, these words really shouldn't be new to you. You should have heard these words before. Maybe some of you know them. Maybe some of you weren't exactly paying attention in class last year and didn't completely learn these words. So I'm going to give you a review. These words are really important and you need to learn them. We are going to learn about real numbers, whole numbers, integers, natural numbers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers. By the end of this lesson, I should be able to write the number -6 and ask you which one of these is -6. Is -6 a real number? Is -6 a whole number? Is -6 an integer? Is -6 a natural number? And so on and so forth for all the rest of them. Sometimes some numbers are more than one. -6 might be a real number and a whole number. -6 might be a real number and a natural number. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to know each one of these. Now, what I want you to do right now, if you do not have a notebook and a pencil sitting right in front of you right now, I need you to press pause on this video and go pick up a notebook and a pencil. I am so very, very serious about this. I really, really expect you to have a notebook in my math class and to take notes. You need to write all this stuff down. It will help you. Okay. So, math vocabulary. Let's start with whole numbers. What is a whole number, Mrs. Gibbons? A whole number is any number including 0 that is positive and not a decimal. That sounds a little confusing, a little overwhelming. I understand. Don't worry about it. A whole number is any number, including 0, that is positive and not a decimal. So, 6. Is 6 a whole number? Yes, it's a positive number. It's not a decimal, so it's a whole number. How about 0? Whoops, sorry about that. How about 0? Is 0 a whole number? Well, any number, including 0, that is positive and not a decimal, so yes. How about -4? Is -4 a whole number? What is a whole number? Any number, including 0, that is positive. So no, -4 is not a whole number. What about 3.8? What is a whole number? Any number, including 0, that is positive and not a decimal. Well, 3.8 is a decimal, so it is not a whole number? All right, let's move on. Math vocabulary. Next, we're going to learn about integers. What is an integer? An integer is any whole number plus its negative opposite. So, 5 is an integer, and -5 is an integer. 8 is an integer, and -8 is an integer. 16 is an integer, -16 is an integer. 3,429 is an integer, -3,429 is an integer. What about 0? Is 0 an integer? Yes, yes it is, absolutely. Because an integer is any whole number, and we just learned that 0 is a whole number. What about -3.29864? Is -3.29864 an integer? No, because it is not a whole number. It's got a decimal. Okay, so the whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Integers include their negative opposites. -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on and on and on in both directions. Those are integers. Next, math vocabulary. Now we're going to do natural numbers. A natural number is an integer greater than 0. So an integer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, on and on and on and on and on. -1 is not a natural number. -3 is not a natural number. But 1 is, and 3 is. Natural numbers do not include 0. Whole numbers include 0. Natural numbers do not include 0. So let's stop and say, I'll start a new page. Let's say the number 5. Is the number 5 a whole number? Yes. Is the number 5 a natural number? Yes. Is number 5 an integer? Yes. Yes, it is. How about -5? Is -5 a whole number? No, because those are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on and on and on. Is -5 a natural number? No, because they're positives starting with 1. Is -5 an integer? Yes, it is, because integers are whole numbers and they're negative opposites. Okay, let's go on. Now we've got rational numbers. What is a rational number? A rational number is a decimal that ends. Whoops, that ends. So let's say 2.2 or 3.68 or 9.24368. These are rational numbers. A rational number is a decimal that has a definite ending. That's what a rational number is. Now we're going to do irrational numbers. What is an irrational number? An irrational number is a decimal that never ends. So let's say 2.684939971653214769822223 on and on. And it never, ever, 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 ever ends. It never ends. That's an irrational number. Now, what we normally do in math class, because we can't work with this, what we normally do in math class and what I'm going to ask you to do in math class is always round to the hundredths. So we would round this number to 2.68. And this is the number that we would work with in math. But an irrational number is a decimal that never, ever, ever, ever ends. Now, real numbers. What is a real number? Sounds kind of silly. A real number is everything we've talked about already. A whole number and a natural number. And what else did we do? Integers, rational numbers, irrational numbers. These are all the real numbers. Now, why would you ask that? Why would anyone, what does that mean? The thing is, in higher level math, like when you get to the really hard math, there's a thing called imaginary numbers. Sounds kind of silly, but there's a real thing, and it's symbolized by the letter I. So there are imaginary numbers and there are real numbers. We, in 13-year-old math, we only deal with real numbers. You won't ever get an imaginary number in 13-year-old math class. We only do real numbers. But all of these are the real numbers. And I cannot stress enough how important this vocabulary is. I promise you, I will give you numbers on a test. I'm just gonna like write random numbers like this. I'll put 2.6, negative 43, 29, 347, 10,968.249. And the question will say, is number one, tell me which one of these fits for number one. It might only be one of them, it might be all of them. Oh yeah, real number will be included. So you're gonna have to look at a number and you're gonna have to tell me which one of these that number is. And I feel confident that I've done a pretty good job of explaining it all. So if you didn't understand, what you need to do is turn it off right now, go away, take a break, go do something else, and then come back and watch this video again. Okay, thanks guys.